into strawberry fields. Nothing is real and nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever. Living is easy with eyes closed. Misunderstanding all you see. It's getting hard to be someone, but it all works out. Alright, that's Strawberry Fields Forever, written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And where do these people get their creative energy and their creative ideas? I mean, it comes from somewhere. For example, the 7 critical thinkers that we studied in our class here this past semester, we introduced Freud. His contributions was in psychoanalysis, the study of people. Einstein was the theory of relativity, the study of objects. Picasso, the painter, the human form. Stravinsky, music, a composer. He was a Russian. Eliot, literature, writing poetry. Born in St. Louis, moved to Europe. Martha Graham, modern dance in America, and the only female in which we studied of the 7. Gandhi, the peacemaker, an Indian political and spiritual leader. They had various backgrounds, and they had a distinct study that they were working in, a field in which they made their contribution to society and the world. Do they have some genetic disposition that others don't have, that I don't possess, that you don't possess? That's not carried by others? Is it hereditary? Can we be tested for a creative gene? Do all these people have and possess creative abilities? I mean, what is it that makes them different than anybody else? These are a lot of questions I'm asking, but that's one thing that a creative thinker needs to have for critical thinking. A questioning attitude. What a critical thinker needs. What drugs were available in the late 1800s and the early 19th centuries, at the time period where these 7 critical thinkers we studied were evolving? And this is what I found out by searching some common medications in the 1800s and 1900s that are now narcotic. It was surprising that Freud studied cocaine. That cocaine is a treatment for morphine addiction. And it was a common ingredient in popular patent medicines at that time. Another thing that I found out was that opiates, the alkaloids, the narcotic alkaloids, they were popular at that time also, which the narcotic alkaloids would be found in morphine and codeine and were available in over-the-counter drugs like cough syrup and teething medicine. And I was thinking that I recall about every one of these thinkers had a nanny or a nursemaid that lived with them, and I could see it now. Here they are complaining to their nanny about their teeth were hurting, and she comes and starts rubbing morphine or codeine on their gums for their teething, and now they're hallucinating, and the child prodigies were just seeing things and all. So I just kind of wonder about that. In order to find an answer to critical thinking traits, I went with my business management background and the degree I have right now, and I built a critical thinkers assessment chart, or a TCAT for short as I call it. Here I have my CTAC chart, Critical Thinkers Assessment Chart, and I've included the 7 critical thinkers that we studied this past semester. And what this chart, I'd like to explain what I made it out of because it was one of the requirements of the course. This is a styrofoam backboard with a felt covering, and I've taken some ribbon and made a graph out of the ribbon, there's checkered lines here, and it's just a marker, a black felt marker that I've written the names in here, and I made some little dots here so that we can categorize or grade the critical thinker at any scale or level that I would like to grade them. It was my own personal draft of the way I want to grade them. And it works similar to an Excel file, so this could be put online, electronic, but I just made the board just to keep track in my room so I could add and take away as I decided or change my mind as needed. The categories, for simplicity of the chart, I left them the same as the ones we studied, since all of us are familiar with that. It was the education, family, relationship, and personality. We can add additional columns such as religion, or your the work, the jobs they did, or political environment, or what was going on in the environment at the time. So it can be built or added onto. This chart can. Now the different levels are here. Is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1 through 5, and that could be like the lowest to the highest. It can be from below average to above average. It can be for not likely or most likely, disagree or totally agree. So it can be any kind of rating that the person using the chart can put up there that they want. So as far as the categories here, how is all this applicable to me? I was wanting to let you know that it creates awareness and self-examination. It makes the individual, it makes me look at myself and how I can be more creative. How can I come up with some songs or some lyrics that I need to? And so when I think about this and the class that we had, some of the things I want to look at are open-minded about new issues. Don't be closed-minded. Look for new ideas, or look at the world around you and see what's going on. New ideas. Be open-minded. Am I argumentative about things I have little knowledge of? If I don't know something about this subject, I need to regress and recoup and get more knowledgeable about it. Differentiate the difference between conclusions that must be true and might be true. It's another thing the critical thinker must look at. Realize that we live in a diverse world and be aware of others' viewpoints. Avoid common mistakes in my own reasoning. We've studied the assumptions that we make, our biases that we have, our strengths, our weaknesses, our emotions, our rational thinking. These things will interfere with our creative thinking also, so be aware of those. Avoid common mistakes in my own reasoning, the assumptions, the biases. Have that questioning attitude that I mentioned earlier, and don't be intimidated about authority or experts. Question them also. They might not have the right answer that is actually what is real and what is not real. Separate the emotional from logical reasoning. Become more knowledgeable to clarify ideas. Become more knowledgeable in your vocabulary so you can speak to others about your ideas and to understand their ideas also. The principles that will aid me in my critical thinking would be desires. Set goals. Have a purpose-driven career. Look for new ideas. I have to strive for something and reach this desire to create that will help us. Have knowledge and skills. You got to know become more knowledgeable and improve upon your skills that you already have. Stay involved, stay engaged with your career and your knowledge of that career. The Edisonian effort, we talked about that quite extensively in class. Edison tried multiple times to create the light bulb, but he was not a failure 999 times. He just found 999 ways that he couldn't make a light bulb. So be positive, be proactive, and stay engaged. Fermentation and insight. Let things sort of brew. Another term that I like that I've came up with in the past, and I've used this, was percolate. Let the idea percolate like a coffee pot, bloop, bloop. That way, it gives it time to brew to its full strength. So percolate is a good way to look at it, to let your idea evolve and think about it and give it time to grow. And evaluation. You always have to evaluate your processes to make sure it is going the direction you want it to go, that you're staying on the track, stay in the course. That is what you want to do to enhance your critical thinking. By charting the great thinkers and understanding myself and others, I can develop and cultivate my own creative ideas. I want to stand outside the box. Take a look around. Step out on the ledge and see what's going down. Sounds like the makings of a new song to me. I better write that stuff down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. That's when the love comes tumbling down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour. I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to have the time to participate in this class with you, and Dr. Haney for allowing me to join in with this session here. And I've had a real enjoyable time, and it was a new experience and being on like the virtual TV, the webcam and all. And I'd like to say thank you, and I wish the best to each and every one of you in the future. Thank you very much.